Agree on the timetable. What about the rest of the Middle East? You mentioned Israel. Do we continue to support Israel?
You know, Israel is the one democracy in the Middle East, and it has been an ally, and yes, we continue to support them. And not only do we continue to support them, but we do something that we haven't as a country done in many years, which is what we did during the Clinton administration, which is to use our influence to bring the parties to the table to try to reach a just and equitable solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And we need to do this because, you know, with respect to the Middle East, American families are hanging on by their fingernails right now while we spend $13 billion and our attention and our government's attention over there. It is time for us to refocus at home and start addressing energy, start addressing healthcare, stop going. Chris Shays has been to Iraq 22 times. This district needs a congressperson who is going to focus on the challenges and the issues that the people of this district are facing. And so we need to reorient ourselves to the challenges that our families face.
Okay, I don't know what he just said. He talks beautifully and says, no, I understand the question. It's just he talks a lot and says absolutely nothing. We need to take a tough love stand with Israel. We already know the reason why we had 9/11. Osama bin Laden was clear in our 9/11 Commission report. One of the bombers was very clear about why we were there. We are the problem here. We support the settlements. Condoleezza Rice was just there, exasperated. The settlements, 150 settlements now, no change. They keep growing. We've got hedge funds here financing settlements. We've got wealthy Americans financing settlements. 4 U.S. presidents condemned the settlements, and yet they still happen. We are hated worldwide because of our blind support amid what's happening there. We need to take a tough love stand with Israel and demand that there's a resolution and that the settlements building stop.
Tom, if I could just note, to imply, as Ms. Whitnum has, that the Israelis are directly or indirectly responsible for 9/11 is nothing shy of abominable and just indicates the extent to which she's not paying attention to what is really going on.
I'm paying a lot of attention. Let me tell you something. Since the Second Intifada began on September 2000, when Ariel Sharon walked into a mosque to get himself elected, creating a riot, so much bloodshed, and 8 times as many Arabs as Israelis have been killed, but that's not the point. The majority of the people in the Middle East, 60% of the population is younger than 30 years old, and they have come of age during this time period, Intifada, which is still going on. It's 8 years. The danger of it is this. They are seething. Getting rid of Osama bin Laden at the top, if you don't get rid of the reasons why people hate us, solves absolutely nothing. Jim talks like that because Jim was just in Israel on a 2-day, 48-hour propaganda building trip. He went there from Greenwich, put his arms around Omer. What was that all about, Jim? Was that to get your funding? Did you have to sign any documents to the AIPAC here?
I didn't sign a single document. I didn't take a dime. I went there because Israel is on the sharp point of the spear that was very important to us, which is how we deal with Islamic extremism. And I felt an obligation to go there and actually talk to people. But again, this election is not about these issues. This election is about energy policy. It is about health care. It is about reasserting our leadership economically so that we have jobs and so that we lead this world once again on things like alternative energy and so that we have a health care system that we can be proud of.
You're changing the topic, Jim. I want to talk about that again. How did you didn't answer the question. How do you go from Greenwich, Connecticut to having your arms around Prime Minister Omer? Nobody leaves and goes to talk to Israel for 48 hours during a campaign. Why did you go? Who was the go-between?
I think I explained that. I set this trip up, and it was there to talk to people who are expert on these issues.
We only have 5 minutes left, and there are so many important issues here.
This is the most
one of the ones that relates to
because
this
he came back saying,
excuse me, I really want to move this on.
Tom, he came back and said, if Iran attacked Israel, that
you're not going to set the agenda any further. I'm sorry. We have to stop now, and I have to move it on.
Would be severe. How dare you wage war without... Recently, Jim Himes returned from a 48-hour Pledge of Allegiance trip to Israel. Immediately, he talked about attacking Iran instead of listening to our own national intelligence estimate, which stated that Iran no longer has a nuclear weapons program. Democrats, your vote for me on August 12 sends a powerful message to Washington. We can break the stranglehold of AIPAC, the Israel lobby, on our politicians. Our country can't afford another unnecessary special interest group war. I'm Lee Whitnum, and I approve this message. I change my closing statement a little tiny bit in response. You know, I'm appalled that when I talk about the neoconservatives, somehow it's twisted to be some sort of a racist comment. This is documented fact. The neoconservative role in the taking down of Iraq, unnecessary war, is fact. It's not opinion. I'm dealing with whore here who sells his soul to AIPAC, who will say anything for the job. Ignorant. His response to what I said was just shocking. I'm speaking documented fact, and I think a zealot. I have a plan. I have a what I'd like to propose is a prosecution of settlers here, American settlers who go to Israel and maim or kill in the Promised Land. Since 2000, 66,000 of the indigenous culture have been killed, many of them by American settlers. This is viewed all over the Middle East, and we are hated for this worldwide. By prosecuting people here who kill overseas, we would solve anti-American sentiment worldwide.
All right,
This is the number one reason why people hate this country. If you don't nip terrorism in the bud, and the reason why, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, you're not resolving
Your time is up.
anything.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy.
You know, I'd advocated for all the candidates to be a part of these debates. I might think twice about that with that kind of awful language being used on the airwaves.